How do you write a scary scene? What are some things that you all find scary? Clowns. Very good. I hate clowns. That's why it's terrified me. Spiders. All right, good. Nothingness. Wow, existential. All right. Darkness. Okay. Whiteness. Okay. Lightness. Oh, yeah. Okay, good, good. So there's a lot of things that scare us. And when you're writing a scary scene, it takes a lot to put your actual fears into writing. So what we're going to talk about, and we're going to actually be able to do some flash fiction, and I have some copies of my book that I'm going to give to the people. We're going to vote on it and see who has got the best one going on. So let's go to the next one here. So this is me, Jonathan Ryan. I started writing pretty late. I'm 39. I'm going to be 40 this year. And I used to be an ordained minister, and now I'm a writer. And that's another story in itself. But I grew up in the Midwest. And I know, how many of you all been to the Midwest at all? Yeah? Is the Midwest scary?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. See? You know, the Midwest seems like a really boring place to grow up. It's farm fields, there's a lot of factories, everything else. But that's where I developed my scary sense. That's how I became a scary novel writer. Because being in the Midwest, there's a lot of scary places. There's the mysterious mounds. So I relied on what was going on around me. So that's how I came to be as a scary writer. I've got my publishers here. Open Road is going to be my publisher starting in April. Three Gates of the Dead was published with Premier Digital, and Open Road just bought it out. So they're going to be my publisher in April. And then I just signed a deal with Audible.com to do the audiobooks, so those will come out as well. And then if you want to know any more about me, there's my website. So let's get on to it. Theoretically. Okay. All right. Wait. This is the first time I've done it from my iPad, so there we go. All right, so this is a passage from The Talisman from Stephen King and Peter Straub. Who's a Stephen King fan here? Who's read Stephen King? Good. What about Peter Straub? See, I recommend Peter Straub. He's an excellent writer. So this is a passage from one of my favorite books from them. It's called The Talisman. And I'm going to read this. With sudden horror that engorged his throat like hot salt water, he realized it was looking at him. Those black eyes were seeing him, and he knew that look. A raw strand of flesh still dangled from the gull's beak. As he looked, the gull sucked it in. Its beak opened in a weird, unmistakable grin. So what do you notice about that passage? Right to the point. Good.
The words are repetitive.
Words are repetitive. Okay. What else? What's he describing?
He describes something completely ordinary as kind of horrifying sounding.
Bonus. Exactly. It's a gull. It's a seagull. You guys go to the beach, anything else? And they're eating from clams, mussels. Something that you would see on a normal day if you went onto the beach. But the way Stephen King and Peter Straub have it, they're setting up some kind of terror for you to get involved in. Okay? So when you're writing a horrific scene, this is the first rule. Make the ordinary terrifying. What do I mean by that?
For example, like that doll could be possessed by something.
Good. Does anybody know what that doll is? What's that? It's Raggedy Ann, right? But there's a history behind this doll. Does anybody know it? Anyone? Does anybody see the movie The Conjuring?
Yes.
Who's seen The Conjuring?
Oh my goodness.
Do you know that The Conjuring is based on a real story?
What? Well, that's creepy.
Now, you saw the doll in The Conjuring, right? How creepy it looks? This is the real doll. This is the real case.
But why does it say warning?
Because it's supposedly protected. You're not supposed to touch it. Ed and Lorraine Warren are paranormal investigators, and The Conjuring was based on their real story, and this is the actual doll. Now, doesn't look very scary, does it? Does a Raggedy Ann doll scary?
Sometimes.
Okay, sometimes, all right. Depending on your fear, my fear happens to be dolls, so, this might be terrible. Yeah, there we go, see? So, here's a real story about a doll that they took in The Conjuring and made it absolutely terrifying. Well, at least at the beginning. And this particular story behind this doll is horrifying. Now, I actually got to meet Lorraine Warren one time and heard some of the stories, and I was like, ugh. I still have nightmares from that conversation. But looking at this doll, you have to look at things around you to make it scary. Give me something completely ordinary. Yeah, buddy. A beetle? Okay. A bug. Some of us are scared of bugs.
A ghost.
Ghost, okay. Little girl could be scary, right? All right. The dark. What else? Poodle. Can you make a poodle scary? I'd say yes. What's that? Music. Music can be scary.
Usually, maybe it's like it was in a dark place and there's like only one thing in there and you're all alone.
Yep.
Probably like
Good. No, that's good. That's good.
Christmas decorations.
Christmas decorations. I like it. Okay? Something that's seemingly not scary at all in the hands of an amazing writer can absolutely terrify you if you do it correctly. Why are we talking about this? Why are these things seemingly can be terrifying? Anybody?
If you think of it in a way, it could be scary.
Okay, that's true. But what else? What's that? Exactly. Yes. Things that are in our here. See if I can toss that far. There we go. The things that are in our ordinary lives can be extremely and incredibly scary if they're presented in the right way. And as writers, your job is to take what's already ordinary, and if you're wanting to write scary stories, that's what scares people the most. We can go for the ghosts, we can go for the vampires and the werewolves if we ground it in everyday life. Because that's what scares people the most. If you've got a good... How many of you like B horror movies? Like from, the 50s, 60s? Anybody watch those, right? Yeah, me too. Love those things. But they're not really that scary, right? Why not?
They like the special effects and like
Yeah, some you got rubbery masks and they're kind of not terrifying or scary at all, right?
Well, yeah, because in the old black and white horror movies, they used chocolate syrup for the blood.
Yep.
So it's the same.
Yep. Chocolate syrup, they're kind of fake, right? And they rely on a lot of fake scenarios, right? If you can get into the ordinary and observe the things around you and realize what could really terrify people, that's how you make a scary book. Now, how would you imagine that? How would you imagine Christmas decorations? How would Christmas decorations be scary? You said Christmas decorations, right?
I just remember getting stuck in one of my grandma's closets that had a lot of Christmas decorations in it.
Nice.
I was sleepwalking.
Yep.
And I ended up closing myself in there, and then when I woke up, it's like this Santa Claus doll.
Wow, that is incredibly horrifying. That is awesome. All right, so here's the story. She was sleepwalking. She got caught in her grandmother's closet with Christmas decorations. She didn't realize she was in there. When she woke up, there's this scary-looking Santa doll. Scary. Now, how old were you when that happened?
I think I was actually probably 9.
9 years old. Terrifying. That was good. Thank you. Let me get some candy. So, the other thing is, who's your audience? You got to observe who your audience are. What will scare them the most? So as let's say you're writing for your group, your age group. What would you write for them that would make them scary?
Your phone is demented.
Phone is demented. Good one. iPhone demented. I like that. Go with that one. I like it.
Probably zombies right now since of The Walking Dead.
Zombies, Walking Dead. Okay, that's a big one.
You're being chased by a ghost, like a little girl ghost,
Okay.
freaking you out.
Okay, good. A stalker. Good. Okay? Especially nowadays with social media and everything else, stalking is incredibly terrifying.
A psychopathic teacher.
Psychopathic teacher. Very good. Who has a psychopathic teacher here? Yeah, I had one too. All right, good. Actually, I had a teacher who talked to the radiator. All right, so yeah, it was a little scary. Like the radiator would rattle in the classroom, and I went to a small Christian school, And he'd be like, Satan, come out of the radiator. And we're like, I'm leaving the classroom right now, right? If Satan's in class, I'm leaving right now. So good. But would that necessarily terrify me as an adult? Not necessarily. The thing that scares me the most is if something were to happen to my kids, right? So if I'm reading a horror novel where the kid is in trouble, I'd relate to that really, really well. People don't really stalk me, so that's not necessarily terrifying to me. But something happened to my kids, that does. So you kind of have to know what your audience is and how that will work. So what I want you to do, does everybody have pen and paper and stuff? Okay. So I have 3 scenes here: a tree, a house, and a road in Canada on the way to Banff, Canada. Now, I couldn't find anything more ordinary than a road in Canada, right? Sorry if you're from Canada. I love Canada. Anyway, what I want you to do is do flash fiction. You know what flash fiction is? 3 sentences. So make this ordinary scene terrifying in 3 sentences. You're going to have 5 minutes, and I'll take 4 volunteers to read up here. Okay? So you have 5 minutes starting now. 2 or 3 sentences, pick any one of these. These are ordinary scenes. Make them terrifying. Scare me. It can't be any more than 5. So 3 to 5. 5 at the most. Otherwise, it's cheating. You've got 3 minutes. Two minutes. No cheating. Don't look off your neighbor's paper. Oh, get out right now. About a minute and a half. Okay, now a minute, sorry. All right, so I'm going to select 4 here in a few seconds. And they're going to come up and read. "30 seconds. Looks like most of you are already done, but I'll wait. All right, 118. Let's see. How do I pick? All right, come get up here. All right, Ginger, come on up. All right, now all the guys put your hands down. Guys, put your hand on. I need 2 girls. Sorry. All right, come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Yeah, you. Come on. Come on. Come on up. You. Long hair. Yes, you. Come on up. Come on. All right. Do we have one more girl? I thought we had. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, 2. We have 2. We had 2. Oh, there she is. There. Sorry. All right. So we're gonna let them read this, and then you all get to decide who's scarier. All right. So who accomplished their task. This should be on. So go for it.
Gripping the steering wheel with your sweaty hands, I can hear it behind me. The car shudders, then slows. Glancing at the meter, tank of gas reads empty.
Okay. Good. Very good.
Under a tree, you say? An ordinary tree? No, Mike's tree. They call it that because this is where he brought the orphans, the Roseberry orphans. It stuck branches down their throats. They still are here, but inside the ground.
All right. You're good. All right. All right.
The wind was colder than could ever be imagined as it whipped across his face. No matter how fast he thought he was running, he was held in place by the strength of the gusts of air. Come on, he thought. He has to get away, or else he is as good as dead. And that was when he heard the unmistakable howls of his worst nightmare.
The coldness settled on everything like a gnarled hand wrapped around your throat. Shadows danced in the trees, the branches reaching out with their knotted fingers ready to rip open any exposed flesh. The cars zoomed down the road at breakneck speed, the windows as clear as crystal, showing every demon hiding in the forest. The scenery zips along, my heart pounding, waiting for something to pounce on the cars and glass flying everywhere. The tension was thick in my throat, making my chest tight with unrelenting fear.
Good. All right, so I'm going to go down. We're going to pick 2 winners, actually. So as I put my hand over their head, you guys cheer. All right? So here we go. Okay? All right. I'm thinking these 2. Joe, did you hear? Okay. I'm thinking these 2 won. All right? All right.
Let's roll the gingers back home.
Nice. Hold on, guys. You guys. There you go.
Thanks.
Yep. All right. Give him a hand. Everybody give him a hand, all right? Good. Sit down. You know, it takes guts to read your stuff in front of other people, especially your peers, right? We just had an author luncheon, and if I had to read my stuff in front of all those authors, I think I'd have been absolutely terrified. So the fact that these 4 got up and read their stuff, that's phenomenal, all right? All right, so this is from my own book. Yes, I quoted from my own book. It's all right, deal with it. Frosted outlines began to appear on the windows as if dozens of people ran alongside the car. Fogged face prints clouded the glass so I couldn't make out the road. "Aiden!" Jen shouted. The car shuddered as something began to pound on the roof like large hailstones. This is from 3 Gates of the Dead. There we go. Quicken the pace. Now, you saw in the video that Professor... Speaking of which, does anybody know where I got the name Professor H.P. Mackin?
H.P. Lovecraft?
H.P. Lovecraft, all right. So that's the first one. Where does the Mackin come from? If anybody gets this, I'll be so impressed. Do you know? Did not get it from Harry Potter. Arthur Machen was a weird fiction writer from the turn of the century who had a huge influence on H.P. Lovecraft. In fact, in my personal opinion, Machen is a 10 times better writer than Lovecraft. I do like Lovecraft, but Machen is so much better. So if you don't know him, read him. He's on Amazon. You can get his stuff for 99 cents, I think. Quicken the pace and focus on the scene and only the scene. I can't tell you how irritated I get when I'm reading a scary scene. And as I illustrated in my video with my awesome stalker son, there's nothing more annoying than going into a psychoanalysis during a scene that's supposed to be tense and scary. That doesn't mean you don't have psychoanalysis in your book. You should. But when you're right at that tension, scary point, you want to make sure that you are short, quick, and to the point. Because if you draw it out, you start losing your readers, right? Name a book where you stopped being scary because it got too long drawn out. Can anyone name a passage? Anybody? It doesn't have to be a horror book. It can be any book.
It was Mockingjay.
Mockingjay? Okay. What scene was it?
I don't know. It just got boring throughout the movie when she was doing the little, not movie, but book.
Yeah.
When she was doing that show, it just got boring, so I didn't stop reading.
No, sure. Okay, so that scene was, the scene in Mockingjay got a little long and drawn out. Good. Yeah, go ahead. The which scene? Oh, the fog scene. Too drawn out, right? Okay. Now in the movie, in Catching Fire, they did it really good because it was really short, quick, tense. But in the book, she did draw it out. Yes, that's a good one. Harry drops the egg down the stairs, and it's just kind of this long, drawn out, and you just sort of lose the tension after a while.
In the first Hunger Games book, when Katniss, she's running away from everyone else, and she's running through, and she gets off on this tangent about how good she is in the forest, and that completely lost my attention. I was like, I don't want to hear you talk about yourself. I want to know what happened.
That's a great example. Okay, in Hunger Games, where she's running in the forest, running away from everybody, and all of a sudden she talks about how good she is in the forest. You lose the tension. It's like, show us how good she is. Don't tell us how good she is. Okay? So you want to focus on that scene, and then you want to use short, powerful words. Now, as young writers, one of your biggest issues, because guess what? Every writer struggles with this, is you're going to want to overwrite your scene. Always. Now, when you overwrite your scene, when you put in so many descriptive words into the scene, you'll lose your audience. Now, when you're writing a tense scene, you want to compact it, make it quick, make it short. Find those powerful words that have punches to them. And always use action verbs. The passive verb is not your friend. What do I mean by that? You want to guess?
Was running versus ran.
Right. Was running versus ran. I ran through the forest as the hideous monster scared me. I was running drags it down. Okay? Good. Very good. Get to the point. How many books has anybody read a book where you're just like, come on, dude or girl, get to the point? Who's read a book like that? Right? When you're scared, the scare sometimes is relying on the element of surprise, and the element of surprise gets lost in your writing. So if you want to write something scary for people, make sure you're quick, fast, short sentences. Make your heart, you know how you get your heart gets fluttery when you get scared? That's how you want to write. Does that make sense? You want to make your heart flutter as you're writing. If you're not making your own heart flutter, you're not going to make your reader's heart flutter. It's pretty simple. Now, I don't have a slide for this one, but I want to tell you about this one. When we talked about the gore, gore can be scary in horror, okay? However, it can be overdone to the point like we had in the video where it's not scary anymore. What you want to rely on when you're scaring somebody in your writing is to get in their heads. Perfect example, we'll go back to Christmas decorations again. That is all in her head. There's nothing really scary on one hand about Santa Claus being locked in the closet, But because she got there sleepwalking, woke up, had no idea where she was, it was absolutely horrifying. She didn't need Santa to bleed out of its mouth and, head explode and whatever, even though that would have been scary in itself. She didn't need that. That scene enough was terrifying. And listen, everybody, here's the key to good writing. You know the secret? Get in people's heads. Crawl inside their heads. Mutate inside their heads. Become little viruses, if you will, in their heads. If they cannot get your writing out of their head, they will buy your books all day long, even if you write crap. Because once you get in their head, this is why all these books are selling so well, is because, The Hunger Games, Harry Potter, Twilight, all these things, is because these writers, whether they're good writers or not, it's immaterial, is that they have struck something in people's heads, and it's really flipped a switch. So when you're writing, especially scary writing or any writing, you have to know what people's minds are like and how to crawl inside their heads. Now, I'm not going to tell you to do that because that's a whole nother seminar in and of itself. But this is why it's the key to being a scary writer. I'm going to read this quote. Has anybody read any Ray Bradbury? Yeah? If you haven't read Ray Bradbury, you must. That's just it. Now, you'll notice from this thing, how many have seen Gravity? Seen Gravity? Okay. So I chose this particular scene because it's going to be a little bit familiar if you've seen Gravity. It comes from his collection of short stories, The Illustrated Man. And it's about astronauts in space who've had this explosion and they're all kind of floating away from each other in space because they're all going to die, basically. So here's the quote. Hollis reached out. It was best this way. He made the extra effort to touch the man. He grasped the man's ankle, pulled himself up along the body until he reached the head. The man screamed and clawed frantically like a drowning swimmer. His scream filled the universe. One way or another, thought Hollis, the moon or the earth or the meteors will kill him. So notice in that quote, there's an unknown man, like our exploding baby, right? You guys like the exploding baby? My friend who helped make this film, that's his granddaughter, right? She's really cute. No babies were harmed in the making of this film, by the way. So you notice we don't know who this guy is, right? He's a victim. We don't know him. But just the way Bradbury gives you this short clip of who this guy is, you automatically feel sorry for him. Look what he says. The moon, the earth, the meteors, this guy's going to die. And you automatically sympathize with this character, even though he's not the main one from the story. Humanize your victims. Poor Justin. So the reason I put Justin up here is because he is a product of media manipulation. We don't know who the real Justin. Okay, well, not because he's ugly, but Justin's a product of media manipulation. None of us know who Justin is, unless you're friends with him. I am. Okay. So when you humanize your victim, you got to give us a victim that fits. For example, if you've got a main character in your story who's running along to defuse a bomb, and all of a sudden the bomb just blows up a random character on the street, you're just kind of like, yeah, that's kind of sad, but I don't really have an emotional investment there. Now, if the character becomes the main character's child, or buddy, or girlfriend, or boyfriend, or love interest, then that becomes infinitely more powerful in your writing. Build sympathy quick. So when you're writing a scary scene, make sure the victim fits, and then you need to build the sympathy quick. So if you say, here's main character's girlfriend, that's automatically gives you who she is in the story and builds automatic sympathy because you like the main character already. And make the death quick, but not too quick. How many of you like gore in your fiction? Be honest, it's okay. Okay, why?
It makes the reader feel what's going on.
Okay, good. So a little bit of gore is okay, right? Because you get enough visceral reaction to what's going on.
I like a lot of gore.
Okay.
Because it suits my personality.
Okay. A lot of gore suits personality. All right, good. All right. All right, so let's move on next one. We got 5 minutes, so I got to move along here. I'm going to skip past this quote. Actually, I'm just going to sum this up. The whole key to a scary scene is this: the battle between good and evil. You can have scary monsters. You can have murderous psychopaths in your story. But if you do not give your reader a sense of good versus evil, it's really not all that scary. Why? If you don't have a conflict, it's going to be boring. We can just have some monster come up and rip my guts out, and it's kind of gross, and it'll scare you for a little while. But won't it do? It won't scare you. Why?
Because with like good versus evil, then you can actually have different conflicts between them instead of just like evil being the victor and that's it. You have to have some improvement.
You got to feel that something is at stake. The human soul is at stake in my scene. It's not just someone getting scared. Sorry, I'm getting a little passionate. It's not something just being scared. It's not just raising goosebumps. It's not just making people pee in their pants. You got to realize that their soul is in danger. Maybe not literally, but you got to get the sense that something serious is at stake, and that's why people get scared, because something real is at stake. So when you're writing a scary scene, this is the key point. Something has to be at stake in your scene. That's what creates the tension. Now, you'll decide in your own writing what it's going to be. But the battle between good and evil is about as classic and as overarchingly human as I can possibly name. Nihilistic horror does not scare. Why? Because it doesn't reflect who we are as people. It doesn't reflect who we are as people. The idea that we are good and that evil can corrupt us and evil can destroy things, that's what's scary. Thanks. You guys have been amazing. Appreciate it.